From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Sarah Williams reporting. North Korea has apparently test-fired an intermediate-range missile that crashed seconds after takeoff. South Korea's defense ministry reported the failed launch Thursday. The incident comes less than a week after Pyongyang celebrated the launch of a missile from a submarine. South Korea told Yonhap news agency the missile flew for about 30 kilometers and the test did not appear to have been a success. Pyongyang's latest missile launches come as South Korea and the United States conduct annual joint military drills that North Korea has labeled a provocation. U.S. officials say efforts to squeeze the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria have put the self-declared caliphate on shaky ground, leaving the terror group in perhaps as vulnerable a state as it has been since the start of the U.S.-led bombing campaign. For months, U.S. military officials have been touting IS's territorial losses, up to 40% of the land it once controlled in Iraq and upwards of 10% of the areas it held in Syria. But military and intelligence officials now say the bombing campaign, along with pressure from U.S. partners on the ground, is eating away at IS's ability to send forces into the fight. Leading U.S. Republican presidential contender Donald Trump called Wednesday for sharp changes in U.S. foreign policy to put American interests first. He said current U.S. foreign policy is a complete and total disaster. Trump attacked President Barack Obama's handling of U.S. foreign affairs and decisions made by his one-time top diplomat, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is the likely Democratic presidential candidate. This is VOA News. A senior intelligence analyst says members of Al-Shabab in Somalia who recently pledged allegiance to Islamic State are moving into the capital, Mogadishu. Colonel Abdullahi Ali Maow, a former national intelligence officer who now heads the new Mogadishu-based Somalia Institute for Security Studies, told VOA that some Al-Shabab members are fleeing to the capital and to areas near the border with Kenya because they were overpowered in the region of Middle Juba. Maow said Mogadishu is attractive because, as a city of several million people, it is an easy place to blend in. This week, Islamic State claimed responsibility for an attack in Somalia when an explosion targeted a convoy of African Union troops outside the capital. But AMISOM military spokesman Joseph Kibet told VOA that Islamic State may not have been behind that attack. U.S. authorities have taken more than 100 suspected gang members off the streets of New York in what they're calling the largest gang takedown in the city's history. The suspects were taken into custody Wednesday during several raids. William Bratton is the commissioner of New York Police.
These gang members do not belong on our streets. Instead, they belong exactly where they're going, to federal prison for many years, where they won't be surrounded by their buddies, they won't be close to their families, and they'll no longer be free to terrorize the neighborhoods in which they grew up.
Prosecutors are charging members of the two Fly YGZ and the big money bosses with racketeering, narcotics, and firearms offensives. South Korea has announced its Olympic athletes will wear long-sleeve shirts and pants containing mosquito repellent for ceremonies and training during the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. The uniforms are meant to ward off mosquito-borne transmission of the Zika virus, which causes only mild symptoms in most people, but can cause birth defects when pregnant women are infected. The virus has also been found to be sexually transmissible, meaning an infected athlete, while not pregnant, could bring the virus home and pass it on to a partner. Russia has launched the first rocket from its new cosmodrome, Vostochny, after a one-day delay for technical reasons. Russian President Vladimir Putin traveled to the Far East Russian location for the launch, congratulating Cosmodrome workers after the event, while also scolding them for the delay. A suicide car bomber in Yemen detonated outside the home of Aden security chief, wounding at least 2 people. Security guards fired on the attacker before the vehicle exploded. I'm Sarah Williams in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.